Welcome back to Edgework here on the Hammer Betting Network, a daily live NHL show Monday through Friday, 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Today is Wednesday, April 26th. Only 2 games on the NHL schedule tonight, so we'll get into each of those, give our best bets. Let us know in the chat here if you guys have your own best bets for tonight. If you're looking at bets that you're wondering what we think about, you can drop them in the chat during the course of this show, and we will make sure to get to those. But let's start here with what went on the ice last night. The Carolina Hurricanes have an opportunity to close out the New York Islanders, move on to the next round, and they failed to do so. The Islanders win that game 3-2. Moretto, I know you texted me about it while it was going on. Go Isles. What happened last day with the Islanders for them to find a way to have some life still in this series?
As our good friend Michael Leboff would say, there's water in the basement. There's water in the basement right now in Carolina. They're panicking a little bit. That was vintage Isles hockey. Not pretty. Sorokin comes up big. You got goals going in off faces. You got, Pierre Engvall scoring. Like, it's just vintage Isles hockey. That felt a lot more like what I wanted to see from this series. And now we're going back to the island for Game 6. Kind of like our chances there. You want to talk about a look ahead bet? Isles kind of opening up short of -120. That looks good to me. And then you go back to Game 7 with Sorokin in net. Look, it wasn't like a good game from the Islanders, so to speak. They didn't exactly play great. Again, penalty kill kind of struggled. Carolina, looked good. Had that goal called back from another offside that had nothing to do with the play. But Sorokin finally sort of showed up in the series and stole them a game he needed to. And now, the pressure's kind of on the Hurricanes to avoid a Game 7 against Sorokin. And I kind of like where we're at with the Islanders right now.
Yeah, if you get yourself into a spot with these superstar goaltenders in any type of Game 7, it's kind of like a scary situation for any team. Mm-hmm. I don't know that Carolina could look at their own goaltender and say that they're going to be able to have that guy backstopping them that could at least go toe-to-toe in just a one-game elimination situation. So definitely something to avoid there. But yeah, I was checking the score of that game. I pull open, I see Pierre Engvall has now entered the series and scored a goal. And just start laughing at that. But Alex, were there anything that stood out to you in that Carolina Islanders game? Anything that you look at and think maybe the Islanders might have life in this series now and be able to actually come back and win this one?
Oh yeah, absolutely. They have a ton of life. I thought Carolina was going to buckle down and try to finish this thing off. But like you said, now when you have a goaltender like Sorokin, who can steal you games, and you now in this situation where you put that pressure on Carolina. Remember, Carolina was not playing good hockey heading into the playoffs, so we're seeing kind of the same continuation of that right now. And it's a dangerous spot. If anything, I'd probably be looking to pick apart and bet maybe Islanders next game, and like I said, look to try to grab them in Game 7 as well.
Agreed. And Nelson and Barzal finally came to play too. They have had sort of a quiet series. I think Barzal just coming back from injury, needed to shake that rust off, but he starting to look more like himself. That line was really good last night. That was probably their best. Was their best line by a mile because they didn't exactly have the best 5-on-5 game as a team. But it's nice to see those guys get going.
Shouldn't Austin Matthews be prepping for a game tomorrow and not podcasting right now?
See you guys. I want a leaves free show. Just a nice leaves free show would be fantastic. Just to help the heart.
Matthew says here, hello all. From a New Jersey perspective, who should they hope wins? He's assuming New Jersey gets
the Devils. They should hope the Devils win.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. All right. Another game that went on last night, the Dallas Stars take a 3-2 series lead after going up and winning 4-0. There was some controversy online. I think it's more controversy from Wild fans, that is, in regards to how Marcus Foligno is being officiated during this series. But Alex, you talked about it on the Monday show, and it's just there's not really much argument that can be made kind of in defense of him for some of the stuff that's went on. But Dallas takes a 3-2 series lead. Big win for them last night. What did you kind of make of the penalty situation that happened with Foligno and Dallas getting up in that series now?
Yeah, well, he threw a knee-on-knee hit. So I don't care what happened last game. Even if somebody tried to kill you, you can't come back and now hit somebody knee-on-knee and then cry about getting 5 minutes in a game misconduct. That's exactly what should have happened. The fact that they're refereeing this series so tightly, why would you put yourself and your team in a situation like that? I don't understand. It's just completely stupid, undisciplined hockey, which is what you should expect from the Minnesota Wild when it's playoff time, year after year after year. So I'm not really too shocked by that. I wanted to see a soul-crushing win from Dallas. I thought we were going to see this game going to overtime, and that would be the backbreaker for the Wild. But getting shut out and really having no rhythm on offense for the last 30, 35 minutes of this contest proves to me that Dallas should be able to come back here to St. Paul and wrap up things on Friday night in Game 6.
Yeah, and Moretto, I mean, you were probably the happiest man in the world last night after having to sit through what you did on what was it, Monday night, and then you go through and you get a couple wins last night with the Islanders and your Dallas Stars. What was it like watching that go down?
It was great. Foligno's obviously like a huge difference maker when he's on the ice too. So for him to put himself in that position and put his team in that position, that's pretty tough. I'm sure he's taking it pretty hard too, but like, you can't, like, it was the right call. I mean, it's not like you can have, issues with the officiating. Like, that was absolutely the right call. And I mean, maybe the Wild should, focus a little bit more on some special teams, because their penalty kill has been disastrous in these playoffs. Like, I think the Stars are clicking at over 40%. Like that's also, I mean, you can blame the refs to a certain extent, but like when you consistently can't kill these power plays off too, kind of got to look in the mirror. So yeah, it was a big win. I'm not taking anything for granted though. Going back to Game 6, I'm still, I feel good about where we're at right now. But like, even those Stars -1.5 series prices, we need that win in Minnesota now to just finish it off. Ottinger looks like he showed up though now to this series, and he looked great, and that's really comforting.
And I think this is one of these series where having that extra day hurts the Wild. Being here, having to hear all kind of chatter. I haven't even turned on any kind of radio or listened to any kind of shows locally, but I can already imagine what they're saying right now. And now having to sit for an extra day and go into that, and then the late Friday start, it's going to be a crowd that's on pins and needles, because I've been at XL Energy Center when it's an elimination game, and it's not the same energy. It's nervous energy. And if Dallas scores the first goal in Game 6, that place is going to be dead silent, radio silent. So it's something to keep in mind with when betting that game on Friday night.
The boots on the ground. I love it.
All right, the last game from last night we'll take a look at here, and we just had to make so money wait a little bit until we could get to it. But so many asking, good morning, everyone. Did anyone catch our Oilers last night? What were your thoughts, Moretto, on what went on with the Oilers game as they take a 3-2 series lead with a big 6-3 win last night, now heading back to LA for Game 6 here? Is Edmonton in a position where they're driving the bus now in this series, and it's kind of just up to them to close this one out? Does LA, you see any life in LA, any opportunity for them to be able to climb back, or do you think Edmonton kind of on the right track here to finish this one off?
Yeah, I mean, Oilers came out flying last night. Just what a difference from Game 4 to Game 5 and how they came out and played in that first period. It was really great to see. I think that, yeah, it's really tough to see the Kings winning back-to-back games. Like, it's just really, really tough to see. I don't think that's good. I've said from the start, I think this is going to go 7. I still kind of, feel that way. I still think that we got a 7-game series here, but like the Kings going into Game 7 in Edmonton, I just don't see it. The speed the Oilers have, it's unbelievable. And when they're on and when they're playing like that, it's just like things just couldn't keep up. Byfield's really struggled in his own end. There's some guys that just haven't quite been up to par the way they kind of need to be. And I mean, that power play still been lights out. They're Oilers not just scoring those, nice goals through McDavid and stuff, but they're also scoring those kind of greasy goals. And, you got guys like Hine crashing the net, right? So they're just playing the way they need to be playing right now. Yeah, I thought 7 from the start, but again, there's nothing I've seen here that suggests that the Kings are going to be able to win back-to-back games.
Alex, anything for you for that Oilers game, and were you able to catch that one?
Yeah, I mean, I caught most of the game, but yeah, the way that Edmonton was able to play and not blow a lead for the first time in this series, essentially, is a great sign. Like I said, now LA having to beat this team twice, it just seems hard to fathom. And, Korpisalo's confidence seems to be rocked a little bit. We saw Copley come in and get some time. Now you kind of wonder, where do you go as far as goaltending goes? You just, ride out the storm here with Korpisalo, or do you give Copley a chance? He was the guy to come in and save you in the middle of the season this year. Maybe he can do it one more time in a big Game 6 and ultimately a Game 7 spot. So, McClellan's got to kind of sit down and really think about that. But I think the Oilers are, they're in the catbird seat right now, and they should be able to take care of business in 6. But certainly, if it gets to a 7th game, that might be a little dicey. Once again, talk about pressure mounting. Edmonton has had their playoff woes as well. So it could be anything goes into Game 7. But I don't even think it gets to Game 7. I can see Oilers taking care of business in 6.
That Korpisalo, I think it was a bit harsh on Korpisalo too, getting pulled. I guess maybe you just want to jump, but that was a great tip by Bukestad, and none of the first 2 goals were his fault. I'm not pinning them on him, right? But yeah, it's definitely, you can tell a little bit of panic is starting to creep in there after last night. The way the Oilers played and the way the Kings blew that lead. You're up 3-0 with a chance to go up 3-1 in the series, and you blow that lead, and then you come out and kind of lay an egg in the first period last night. I know it was 3-2, but ultimately they played pretty bad in that first period, and Skinner could have had a couple of those back. I'd be panicking if I were the Kings for sure.
Well, in other words, as somebody says, we are all Oilers.
That is.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. Couple games here on the schedule for tonight. We'll break both of them down, see if we can find any best bets in either of those. But just to look and take a look at what we had yesterday, we go up 4.3% ROI on our 6 bets. If anybody else was able to get in the bets that Todd gave out on the under penalty minutes, both of those cashed in the Canes Isles game. We're not going to track those because we cannot verify them, but if you were able to find that yourself, you would have been able to have 2 winners on those as well. Moretto, I think we call this losing by the hook here. Is that what that is? The 2 shots
Losing by the hook. Yeah.
Lost by the hook. But on the 6 bets, we do go up 4.3% ROI. And if you do want to see all the picks that we had throughout the course of this year and through the playoffs so far this season, you can find that in the BetStamp app in the Find Better section as Edgework HQ. And again, as a reminder, we feel like the easiest way to improve as a sports bettor is by using multiple sports books and always getting the best odds. We recommend using an odds comparison tool like BetStamp to do so. BetStamp compares odds across every sports book for games, futures, and player props. You can save time and money by checking BetStamp before you bet. Make sure to download the app today on iOS, Android, as well as you can sign up on the web. If you are looking to sign up for a new sportsbook account, please make sure to check out the offers available at betstamp.app/edgework. As well, you can find the link in the description to sign up there as well. If you sign up through this page, it does help support the show. So if you're gonna sign up for new sports books, if you see some that we're looking at here on the screen for these 2 games here tonight that you don't have, and they've got better odds than the books you're betting at, make sure to sign up for these books and use those links to help support us. So thank you guys very much for continuing to help support. And last thing I'll ask for, if you're watching right now, you haven't subscribed or you haven't liked this stream, please make sure to do so. It takes 5 seconds to do the both of those. You can hit that subscribe button, hit like on this stream. As So Money says, smash it. Smash that like button while you're on here. But let's get to tonight's game. We'll start with the Florida-Boston series. Boston, back in Boston here tonight, up 3-1 in this series. After kind of a shaky first couple of games, it looks like they've sorted some things out there. You win 4-2, 6-2. Now you're up a 3-1 series lead. Back home in Boston here tonight, minus 240 at home against the Panthers. Alex, you got on the Bruins jersey there. Would you be willing to get behind the Bruins price at minus 240 here tonight with an opportunity to close this series out? Is there another way you would play it? What would you be looking at in this game?
Yeah, that's definitely another way I would play it. I'm not laying 240 with Boston to close it out. But what I like to look at in elimination games, and I had it last night. It did fall short, unfortunately, because the team that had a chance to eliminate, held on with the Islanders and Canes. But I like the third period over. And this is something that in previous years you have to bet any game or you'd have to lay a crazy price with some books. Now, because of, all these great books we have at our disposal, you can bet these things pregame at reasonable prices. You can lay $1.45 for over 2 goals in the third period. So, that can cover a multitude of instances. You could have a tight game. Florida could be playing well. You could have Florida going into the third period with a lead and Boston trying to come back. They play a more open hockey. You can have this thing be a complete blowout, especially if it's, a 1 or 2 goal deficit late and Florida pulls the goalie. We've seen goalies getting pulled 2 times over sometimes in playoffs once it's elimination time because they throw everything, but including the kitchen sink at the other team. So this is a spot that you see cash in a lot. Another way to attack it too sometimes would be looking for the highest scoring period of the game to be the third period. You may not get as much value, but sometimes you may not even be laying a price. You might be getting plus money. So you have to kind of identify and see where you can find the value. But looking for something late in the game is what I'll be doing there. And like I said, you have to get creative sometimes with these elimination games, especially when you have big favorites like Boston is tonight.
Yeah, so just a heads up for people, I can't track that in terms of verification here on Betstamp, but if you are able to find that third period over, as well as looking at maybe the highest scoring period being the third period, Alex, what prices would you be looking at if you were trying to bet that here tonight? Where would you be comfortable with playing it at?
So like I said, I don't lay big prices too often. You can't really call $1.45 even a big price compared to what the side is. But that's what I laid at BetMGM over 2 minus 145. So if you might see 2.5s with that, at that point you should be getting anything plus money or above. So plus 100 or better for over 2.5. I think that's a bit steep. I would try to lay the price and grab 2 if it's available.
Okay. Moretto, was there anything you'd be looking at betting in this game tonight?
Not really. The Bruins' 2 worst games were at home, but and now Bergeron's coming back, and was it a case of the Bruins playing a lot better in Florida? Was that a case of them just sort of getting themselves into the series, and now they're going to sort of steamroll and finish this out, or is it is there something to them playing poorly at home? I don't think that's the case whatsoever. If Florida was gonna have any success in this series, they would have had to have the special teams edge. They would have had to get the goaltending. They haven't gotten the goaltending. Their special teams has been brutal. They haven't been able to pull the Bruins into these shenanigans. Now you got Bergeron coming back. There's just a lot sort of mounting against the Panthers here. It's hard to see them extending this series. That being said, I don't really care to buy into Boston at this price. I've been on unders a few times in this series. Not really going to go that route here. I'm just sort of staying away from this game altogether, sitting on my Bruins minus 1.5 in the series and hoping that gets home right now.
All right. So we'll leave that then. In terms of tracking for this game, there's nothing that we'll be able to track, but we do have Alex saying third period over. Take a look there, as well as trying to find maybe a third period to have the highest scoring period in that Florida-Boston game. But one more game on tonight's schedule that we'll get into here, and it is the Colorado-Seattle game. So before the series, we talked about the fact in our series preview this was one we weren't really going to have our eyes on. It wasn't going to be that interesting, and it's found a way to now be pretty interesting. Seattle's home crowd was pretty loud, pretty exciting. It was kind of fun to watch, even just kind of coming through the TV, being able to hear the excitement in that building. Now we're looking at Colorado, Nichushkin out, Makar now suspended. And going back to Colorado, we're seeing a price on the Avs, minus 176 still. We're seeing plus 160s hanging around on the Kraken. Moretto, any way you would get involved with this game tonight, having seen the news on guys being out of the lineup for the Avalanche now?
Yeah, I see Daniel in the chat too saying McCann is out too. It's fair. I think that McCann's a very good player, and what he's brought to this team has been huge. Obviously, I think led the team in scoring this year, but I think the Kraken are better suited to absorb one loss than the Avalanche are. The Avalanche don't have any depth to begin with. So I think that it's a huge blow for them. You're looking at now, obviously with Makar out, okay, their defense is, their third pairing is a little bit weaker now. And what Makar brings, at both ends of the ice is massive. But the Nichushkin loss itself, you're looking at guys being bumped into the top 6 that have no business being in the top 6, that barely even have business being in the lineup. They don't have the depth. And Seattle is a very deep team. So Seattle can really win a few of those matchups. And you have guys that are going to also drag down some of those top 6 guys and kind of hurt those matchups, line anchors, we call them, right? And you look at Colorado, Rantanen, McKinnon, Lehkonen, Nichushkin before he was out, and Rodriguez and Comfer, who have been playing in the top 6, they have 20 points combined. You look at the bottom 6 guys like Cogliano, Eller, Malgin, Newhook, O'Connor, 1 point. 1 point they got. Now you got like Nieto being bumped up into the top. It's really bad. You look at like the bottom 6 for Seattle with Gord, Bjorkstrand, Tolvin. That's a really nice third line. Donato, Sprong, and Tanev is a really nice fourth line. They can even match up some of those lines. I think that third line can go up against one of Colorado's top units, and you can free up one of your guys in your top 6 to get some better matchups. I just think that this price is a little bit too long on Seattle. There's plus 165, plus 160. Like I'm comfortable taking that. I think, Makar comes back. Maybe we see Nichushkin. I still think Colorado ultimately can find a way to win this series and will find a way to win this series. But I think that we're just getting a bit of a generous price on Seattle tonight.
All right. So in terms of widely available prices, we'll take the 160 there if you're good with that, Moretto.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. So widely available 160. But again, if you are in Canada or some other states that do have it, there are 165s available for you, so make sure to shop around. And again, if you don't have these books that you see with some of these prices, like the 165 where you might want to get on because it's better than the 160 you see, make sure to sign up at betstamp.app/edgework to do that. But we will lock in the plus 160 on the money line for the Kraken there, so we'll lock that in. But Alex, any thoughts for you on this game tonight?
Yeah, I'm just going to ride with what I've been riding with the whole series, the first period over. We've seen this cash in all 4 games so far. Seattle actually now on a 10-2 run in the first period over when it's lined at 1.5 goals, and that's what we're getting here. I'm seeing $1.20 at MGM, $1.18 at FanDuel. I think that's just a great number. Like I said, with the injury for Seattle, like I said, they can absorb those a little bit better than if Colorado starts losing more people. And like I said, I think Colorado still understands that, especially being at home, they got to play with some pace and tempo early. Seattle can match that. So, like I said, just if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Just gonna go with the first period over again.
Now, obviously, Makar come back after 1 game here, only 1 game suspension. But if Seattle goes into Colorado, wins this game, you go back to Seattle 3-2. I know that Colorado is the defending Cup champs, so it's not like it's going to be full-blown panic of like, oh my God, we're wasting these guys away. But you go down 3-2 in this series, you go back to Seattle for Game 6. Is there any type of panic that starts setting in Colorado of like, okay, what's going on? Can we dig ourselves out of this one? Like, how do they kind of handle that internally?
I wouldn't say panic, but I could easily see them just quietly losing Game 6 if they lose Game 5 here. I can definitely see that. I can see them just kind of going out with a whimper, basically, because of just how beat up they are, how rough of a season this has been. I mean, as far as defending Cup champions go, this is probably what the biggest struggle we've seen from a defending champ in the last several years. Because obviously we've had a couple teams win back to back, make it through multiple years, but Colorado seemingly kind of crawled into the postseason with all the man games that were lost this year, and it was just tough sledding for them. If they were fully healthy in this series, they probably would have won it already. But that just wasn't the case and wasn't meant to be. And it seems like Seattle's just got a bit more momentum right now. Doesn't mean they're a better team. I think the Avalanche is still a better team top to bottom, but we never saw Colorado's top to bottom the entire year. So I would not shock me one bit if Seattle wins the next 2.
Yeah, I mean, backs against the wall, you're always going to be a little bit nervous, right? There's no margin for error, but I still think that ultimately Makar will come back. Maybe we've seen Nichushkin, maybe not, but like I talk about the lack of depth they have, and I think that, in a one-off game, getting, plus 160 on the Kraken is good. But overall, I mean, with Makar in this lineup, and the high-end guys on this Avs team are still so good, and the gap between like their high-end guys and Seattle's high-end guys it's just massive. And like the type of leader guys like McKinnon is, and even like a Makar and guys like Cogliano, like I don't think they'll feel uncomfortable being down 3-2 or in that sort of spot. So I mean, yeah, obviously the margin for error is 0, and you have to win both those games, and you're obviously going to be a bit nervous. But like I don't think they'll feel altogether uncomfortable being down 3-2 and like all is lost.
Yeah. And Daniel H in the chat mentioned it. He says, these 2 teams, he says they should just blow these last 2 and go play golf for the summer. And I know he's joking in the way he says that, but basically it's kind of the same thing I said about Tampa Bay. I think best thing for them would be to go on, lose a series, have a summer off for the first time in forever, and these guys can refocus and heal and regroup and come back, because that core is still strong and still dangerous when they're fully healthy and fully focused. And I think they just need rest. And Colorado might be in that same boat. I think they need more physical rest than maybe mental rest. But all in the same. I think they don't have the horses to try to make another run this year.
Okay, I'm gonna ask you guys before we go and recap the picks, because we only have, I guess we only have the 2 picks here for today, so in the one game. But just briefly, I'm gonna pull up the odds here on the screen for tomorrow's games. We won't lock anything in because we're not gonna steal the thunder of the Thursday show. But in terms of lines, early lines that we're looking at here for these 3 games tomorrow: Toronto, Tampa, the Rangers, Devils, Winnipeg, Vegas. Has there been anything so far that's jumped out off the page to you guys in terms of the prices that we're seeing in any of those games? Have you taken a look at them at all? Just kind of like an early look ahead on some of these numbers. Is there anything out there for you that's grabbed your attention?
Not necessarily. I mean, I would be tempted to play something Leafs, probably third period over, like I said, being an elimination game. But as of now, nothing really just stands out.
I like the under in the Leafs and Lightning game.
Yeah, we saw it last year. Unders an elimination
game too, exactly. And it's just. I mean, you keep saying it, but at what point does Vasilevsky actually show up for this series? I mean, this guy's like, I don't know what he's doing.
I thought you declared him back last game. What happened?
I declared him back, and then he proved me wrong. I declared him back, and he said, "Fuck you, man." I don't know. Maybe he's like taking the Nichushkin route to these playoffs and just saying, "Screw it." But I mean, no, elimination game. I think that, Leafs, like, you talk about feeling the pressure to close it out right now. Like, the hardest thing to do, and it's not even just from a Leafs perspective, like, not even trying to slander the Leafs. Like, the hardest thing to do in the NHL is to kill a team, right? It's hard to kill a team. It's hard to eliminate a team. We saw that last night with the Canes. So money. Yeah. I mean, I can give you some real ones if you want. We'll see. Let's save them for tomorrow maybe. But I think it's just tight, tense game. For me, I'm looking at an under 6.5 there. I think that's a pretty good price to get it at too.
Connor Hartle says Devils look cheap. Just early thoughts on that in this one. Would you guys agree with that? Would you want to stay away? I'll put it up here on the screen for the Devils game, minus 118.
If you buy into this momentum and this Cinderella story of Akira Schmid, then that is a cheap price. But I don't know. I got to see what's going to happen in that game. That's a live game for me.
Yeah, I'm not really interested in betting the Devils. Probably not going to bet the Rangers either at that price, unless maybe the Devils took some money. But again, it's just Devils will have the 5-on-5 edge. They finally played a good game in Game 4. That was our first actually good game of the series, I think, complete game of the series, and they'll have the 5-on-5 edge. Rangers have the special teams. They have the goaltending. They have the intangibles. It's kind of tough to back. It's kind of tough to back the Devils unless you're getting some really good numbers.
If the Rangers can blow out the Devils Game 5, it would be all over the Rangers in some fashion Game 6, because I think that if they can break through and solve Schmid, and now you've got the issue of, well, who do you go with in net between him and Vanacek for Game 6? I think that kills all the momentum they have.
Right.
All right, let's recap the picks here for today. And again, both these in the same game. And if you are looking to bet on the Boston-Florida game, Alex was looking at the third period over in that one, around minus 145, as well as trying to see if you could find the best price available for most goals, or the highest scoring period, the third period in that game. So won't be able to track them here, just not in terms of verification for the show, but those were some to look for in that Bruins-Florida game. In terms of verified bets for today, the two we are looking at are both in the Seattle-Colorado game. And first and foremost, we're looking at the Kraken-Avalanche over 1.5, minus 118 in the first period. Full unit there, so that's over 1.5, minus 118 in the first period. And then the final one is the Kraken money line, plus 160 against the Avs, and that's Kraken money line plus 160 against the Avs. So those are your two bets for tonight. Hopefully everyone enjoyed the show today. If you did, make sure to subscribe here to the channel. Insight giving us his baseball bets again here. He did yesterday. He fired them away at the end of the show. Just sent all his baseball bets in, and then we had people sending Formula One and NASCAR bets at the end of the show. But thank you to everyone who tuned in. If you're not subscribed yet, please make sure to subscribe here to the Edgework HQ YouTube channel. Like this stream as well. You can follow us on the BetStamp app in the Find Better section as Edgework HQ if you want to track all of the picks from this year. So, thank you to everyone who tuned in. Alex Squared, thank you guys for taking the time here today. Appreciate the insight, the analysis. Moretto, I'm just glad to see that you're doing okay after Monday night. You've recovered. You got back on camera. Things are all right in the Moretto household.
I will say the payoff. The pain right now is immense, but the payoff will be so sweet if this ends up going south.
No, I'm not even going down that path. But boys, thank you so much for the time today. Appreciate it. To everyone in the chat, thank you guys for tuning in here. Look forward to seeing you all back here tomorrow morning, 10:30 a.m. Eastern time with myself, Russ, and So Money. So we'll see you guys then. Good luck on your bets tonight.